systems to audit, but also what they can do around best practices and best machinery. We are talking with them about the fact that it is probably best that you do not have your election system connected to the internet, because that will create greater vulnerabilities. And then look at where we are now in this year of our Lord 2018. We're talking about paper ballots, but that actually might be one of the smartest systems. Going back to, a day when we could have something tangible that we can hold on to, because Russia cannot hack a piece of paper like they can a computer system connected to the internet.
So that was Kamala Harris back in 2018 with a little common sense when it comes to voter fraud. Although I'm pretty sure her outlook has changed since then. Multiple Democratic officials have recently been charged related to voter fraud in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Fake mail-in ballots in Philadelphia indicts multiple politicians. Elon Musk makes a shocking discovery which links Democratic funding to all these protests happening. And Act Blue could be down for the count as multiple senior officials have now left the fundraising juggernaut. Now, guys, if you appreciate the daily news updates, please take a second and hit the like button for the video. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. We got a lot of fraud to get through today, so I want to go ahead and get things started off with the 2020 presidential election. I want you to look at this photo and you tell me what you think is different, or maybe what stands out. I'm sure by now that all of you saw that huge spike in Democratic support back in 2020. Y'all remember that, right? Now, coincidentally, the same year that Joe Biden won the White House. Now, I'm not sure where those almost 20 million voters came from or where all of them disappeared to last year, but I think it's pretty safe to say that that is very questionable, isn't it? And so this brings me to talk about Bridgeton, Connecticut, and how multiple people have been charged in a voter fraud case. Watch.
No, we don't do this. We don't. The people vote. They sign it, they fill it out, they send it in.
Allegations of voter fraud and illegally handling absentee ballots. That controversy from a 2023 Bridgeport election made headlines across the country.
Yeah, it was caught on camera. 5 people charged in connection to the ballot scandal went before a judge for the first time. Matt McFarland is your reporter. He is live outside Bridgeport Superior Court with the very latest developments tonight. Matt.
Hi there, Mark and Aaron. Well, it was a quick appearance here at Bridgeport Superior Court for those 5 defendants, including 3 Bridgeport city councilors. Now, while not everyone wanted to say something, those that did, well, they say they are innocent and that they did nothing wrong.
Wanda, anything you want to say about the charges?
Wanda Jeter Pataki had nothing to say on her way out of court. She's the woman at the center of this case, shown here in surveillance video, stuffing envelopes into a Bridgeport absentee ballot drop box.
We get criminalized getting out the vote. Low turnout in Bridgeport. And, the lead bosses tell us to do the work, and we do, and we get criminalized, and it's just not fair.
Like Jeter Pataki, City Councilor Alfredo Castillo is also facing charges of handling other people's ballots.
I've advised him to let me do all the talking, let the evidence do all the talking, the lack of evidence do all the talking, and then from there we'll see what they have or not have.
Jeter Pataki, Castillo, fellow city councilors Maria Pereira and Jasmarie Melendez, along with Margaret Joyce, accused of misusing absentee ballots or misrepresenting voter eligibility during the 2023 Bridgeport Democratic mayoral primary between Mayor Joe Ganim and challenger John Gomes. Gomes filed a lawsuit, a judge throwing out the results, issuing 2 new elections, with Ganim winning both.
I would answer everything you have to say, but not with this garbage here.
Pereira, who worked for the Gomes camp, is accused of forging a voter registration card.
Who in the world leaves a forged document in the mailbox of the person that you forged their signature so they have evidence of it?
Wasn't voter fraud a myth? And as we've seen, it's much more prevalent within the Democratic Party. And that brings me to a small municipality near Philadelphia where 3 politicians were recently indicted on fraud charges. Is voter fraud real and rampant, or is this just another cover up by the media? Type fraud exposed if you believe that the evidence is undeniable, or media lies if you think that they'll do anything to bury the truth. Now, guys, the intent was to fraudulently win the mayoral race by producing dozens of fake mail-in ballots. And yes, this was for a Democratic mayoral primary, and it happened back in 2021. Now, although surprisingly, there are some Democrats who support changes to the voting system, but they may not be the changes that we actually need. Republicans, on the other hand, have stressed that voter IDs would help immensely to keep fraud out of our elections.
Voting rights and election integrity are back in the spotlight.
Both Democrats and Republicans are calling for changes to the election system. 27 News Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson has more.
You may not be thinking about the next election, but it's right around the corner.
One day, paper ballot IDs
Pastor Lorenzo Sewell is one of dozens of people who traveled from Michigan to Washington, D.C., calling for changes to the voting system.
Fair elections equals civil rights.
Ramon Jackson says he's a victim of voter fraud. He says someone requested a ballot in his name.
Without fair elections, we have nothing. Everything that we have ever fought for is futile.
Indiana Republican Congressman Marlon Stutzman supports the need for voter ID laws.
Make sure that our elections are secure and that every vote counts that is supposed to be counted.
As Republicans call for tighter voting laws, House Democrats reintroduced the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which aims to expand access to the ballot box.
We have to be consistent and persistent in our efforts to fight for the right to vote.
Alabama Democratic Congresswoman Terry Sewell is pushing back against Republican-led voting efforts.
While these new laws may not make us count how many marbles are in a jar, I have to say that modern day efforts and modern day barriers to voting are no less pernicious.
Now, I have to address this, guys. One side wants to make it tougher to vote. They want IDs and for people to prove that they have the right to vote, while the other side is calling for voter restrictions to be more relaxed, which just so happens to be the same party that's been involved in multiple cases of voter fraud. Now, I don't want to push any conspiracy theories out there, guys, but the pieces of the puzzle are slowly starting to fit together, which again takes us back to that huge Democratic support in 2020 that suddenly disappeared last year. But then again, maybe they're not connected at all, right? Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. But if we're talking about evidence, we should talk about what Elon Musk found out recently. So Elon Musk has been the victim of multiple protests, with people violently attacking Tesla car lots. Now you got to wonder if it's connected to Doge and its aim to cut federal government spending.
Well, the violence comes as Tesla employees around the world are on higher alert due to the activities of company founder Elon Musk. Many dealerships have been picketed in recent weeks and even targeted with criminal attacks. The latest violence in Tigard, Oregon, just outside Portland, where police are investigating vandalism involving gunfire on Wednesday. At least 7 bullets tore into a dealership in an overnight attack, damaging 3 cars and shattering windows. No one was injured and so far no arrests. But in another Oregon incident, police have a 41-year-old man in custody. He allegedly targeted a dealership in Salem, causing major damage with Molotov cocktails in January and then opening fire with an AR-15 style rifle last month. Oregon has been a hotbed for protest action against Elon Musk and Tesla. And there's a growing grassroots movement called Tesla Takedown. Lawful picketers are condemning any violence and vandalism.
You have a right to protest. We who served in the military said to give you that right, but not to up and destroy and shoot and burn and whatever. No, go protest. Stand up, scream and holler, get your bullhorn out, go do your thing, but no violence.
Protest actions in Boston and across the country in recent weeks have been largely peaceful, but there have been multiple arrests for vandalism and disorderly conduct.
And again, I got to repeat what Elon Musk is doing with Doge, okay? He's literally finding wasteful spending. That's it. And he plans on giving the money back to the American people. So it makes you wonder what these protesters are fighting for. Well, Elon Musk did some digging around and lo and behold, he found something interesting. In a post on X, the billionaire CEO revealed that these protests have been funded by 5 Act Blue funding groups. That would be Troublemakers, Disruption Project, Rise and Resist, Indivisible Project, and Democratic Socialists of America. Urgent warning, guys, the job market is collapsing. The economy is shrinking fast. Layoffs are skyrocketing. The Trump tariffs are already shaking industries. The media won't tell you this, but most high-paying jobs, they're disappearing. And the ones that do remain, they're soon going to be out of reach. But here's the good news, guys. I've put together a list of 30 plus jobs that pay around $100,000 per year without a degree. These are recession-proof jobs, and some are even set to explode in demand thanks to this economic shakeup. No college degree required, no student debt, just real jobs that pay. But I promise, guys, this list is not going to be available forever. So get it right now. Get it before these jobs are flooded by the competition. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link down below so you can get your free list of the 30 plus jobs that pay over $100,000 without a college degree. So download this list before it's too late. Elon Musk then proceeded to name the people who fund Act Blue, namely George Soros, Reid Hoffman, Herbert Sandler, Patricia Bowman, and Leah Hunt Hendricks. He also says that it's currently under investigation for allowing foreign and illegal donations and criminal violations to campaign finance regulations, which could explain why at least 7 of its senior officials have recently resigned. And this reminds me of this issue with Act Blue and why they don't ask for credit card verification, which means that the group is getting money from God knows where. Now, here's a good example. Carrie Alberti, who's 79 years old and lives in Virginia, is recorded to have donated $839,466 to Act Blue, making more than 20,000 donations since 2019. Alberti lives in an apartment with rent that's less than $2,000 a month. So I don't know, but it's just kind of hard to believe that she'd pour in almost $1 million into a Democratic Party and then live in that low income, low rent situation. The math just ain't mathin'. This method from Act Blue makes fraud so easy to commit. Now, I do want to talk briefly about these resignations from senior officials. It's said that they left shortly after small dollar donations to Act Blue suddenly disappeared, which also happened at the exact time that USAID funding to Democrat-controlled NGOs stopped, which begs the question, are they all connected? And of course, I have to ask, would Act Blue be open to an audit from Doge? Now, shifting gears for a second here, I want to link you to a previous video I did. I covered the massive change that happened to California Governor Gavin Newsom, because now he's taking a more moderate stance when it comes to controversial issues, which has a lot of critics wondering if the governor is positioning himself for a 2028 presidential run. Make sure you guys check that video out next, because you're not going to believe what Gavin Newsom says on his podcast. As always, appreciate y'all being here. Thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing. We'll see you next time.